Movie night, back with another classic. I'm your host, Easy. Welcome to Car Language, and I stand by Volvo. Now, and I was gonna start the video with saying, maybe the title was a bit misleading, but it's not. I would say that every truck is good. Every truck is good. But I'm going to ride with Volvo only because this is what I know. And I remember, shout out to my boy Pete. He owns a Peterbilt and he bought a second truck. But before he bought the second truck, he said, I asked him, I said, so what truck you going to get? And he said, I think I'm gonna get a Freightliner. And I was like, why don't you get a Peterbilt? And he was like, Freightliner is cheaper than a Peterbilt. I'm like, yeah, but if you get a Peterbilt, let's say you buy extra parts and they don't, you don't need them or whatever, you find out it's something else and they don't want to refund you your money, you can't return the parts, you could keep it and know that, you got an extra Volvo part for your second Volvo truck. And he said that makes a lot of sense. So it's good to get your feet wet in a lot of jobs. Like I've worked. I could tell you firsthand what it's like working a daily job, a daily trucking job. I could tell you firsthand on what's it like, working for a company like those Werners and Averets. We'll get into that in another video. But leasing, I've done it all except owner operator, and technically I've done that too because I was leased on with someone that was just charging me 10%, and I got kind of like I got a taste of what it would be like to be an owner operator. Let me tell you, it's not that I'm not ready for it, it's expensive, and it's a lot that goes into that. The paperwork, your IFTA, you could hire somebody to do all of that, but interestingly, I hired somebody to do that, and then I leased on to Landstar, and he, I didn't really need him anymore because he was, Landstar was pretty much taking care of the IFTAs, and then I'm thinking that I was paying him every year to do the plates, and he wasn't. I thought I was paying for that. So I shouldn't be saying this, but the issue is resolved already. I was riding around without registration for like 2 years thinking that this guy was doing it for me. And it's crazy too because within them 2 years I got tickets. And I remember that one time I got pulled over. A cop. I was supposed to get locked up. I'm already, like, when he said that, he said, you leased on a Landstar. And I said, yeah. He was like, so how this truck is not registered? I'm sure, they're a big enough company. Why would they let you ride like that? And I'm like, well, because, they told me that I could handle, certain things by myself. So meanwhile, the guy that I was paying, he was renewing my company name and my EIN number, I believe. Those things, like those two things. It was like $600 and I found it kind of weird that it was so cheap because plates is like $1,700 a year, something like that. I know because that's what I'm paying. That's what I'm paying for now. So yeah, I wasn't taking care of that. I thought I was. The cop let me go. He said, take care of the ticket. Make sure you get the truck registered. I'm gonna let you slide on this one. And sure enough, I got on the phone. Landstar got my plates taken care of. But yeah, it's a lot of work, so you definitely want to, if you get your feet wet in this industry, don't think everything is all peachy. Watch these videos. There's a lot of these videos out there that you can watch on how to do literally everything. Some of them might be misleading. One thing they will tell you, or they will mention that's true, is it's expensive. cargo insurance is dumb expensive. I forgot what I was paying when I was paying that 10%. That 10% was just basically to use this guy's MC and DOT number. Other than that, everything else I had to pay on my own. I think I was paying like $700 a month for everything, bobtail and cargo insurance, which is not that bad, but only because I was under his umbrella and he had a couple of years in the game. You know, so back to Volvo. Why I think Volvo is the best truck. Again, I've never owned a Peterbilt. I've never owned a Mack. Volvo is pretty much the same, but I heard, I forgot what the name of that engine is. That's not the D13. Is the one Mack uses. Is really bad. And I also heard about the Internationals. The Internationals is like the cat. I think the Volvo is a Cadillac of semis, but they say that the International is the Volvo, the caddy of semis. No pun intended, because I drive a Cadillac Escalade. But I got a Volvo. Ironically, I'm talking good about Volvo, and this is the second big hit that my Volvo takes. I believe my turbo went out. I got the paperwork. Got receipts. So they said that they try to stop at a TA. Majority of them don't know what they be talking about. And he said that it could be the water separator. I was like, I knew the J Pro was gonna cost. That's the computer where they run the diagnosis to see what's going on with your truck. They said that I knew that they was gonna charge me. I said, you know what? Run it. Run the diagnostic on it. Let's find out what it is, because I don't think that's what it is. I changed my own oil. I changed my own filters. I do all of that, and I did it not too long ago, so that shouldn't be the issue. So they ran it, and that came up. Let me show y'all right here. As y'all can see, active, turbocharged, right? I'm sorry, I'm reading it backwards. Supercharged. So we might have to change our turbo. We might have to get a new turbo. I'm stuck. The truck drives. Hopefully I can get it. Hopefully. Steve, you should turn the camera off, my guy. I like that, Steve. So yeah, damn, Steve threw me off with that comment. I gotta find God. Truck went down. I think my turbo's going out. I could still drive it. It's losing power. That's what the code came up. I'm not worried. I got the NTP insurance. Through Landstar, that's where they take care of all major components. But so far the truck has 659,000 miles and counting, and really I've only had two major issues, and I wouldn't even call them major because they weren't even all that major. The first one was my injectors went out, and I only say that was major because I literally jumped from shop to shop. I jumped from two shops, and they couldn't figure out the problem. One shop knew what it was, but they didn't want to do it, and then that not be the problem. So their opinion is invalid. Like, I'm not messing with y'all. I do have this one mechanic that's really good. The only issue with truck driving is when the truck breaks down, wherever you at, that's pretty much where you got to try to find, if the truck can't move, that's where you got to try to handle business. So yeah, this now, the turbos and the injectors. The injector job was about $7,000. I don't know what this is gonna cost me, but back when the injector was an issue, we didn't have insurance. You understand? So I had to come out of pocket $7,000. Now the turbo, we gonna do our due diligence to find out what's up. How we could go about fixing this without spending minimal and take advantage of that insurance that we have. We got it to pay it, but we're gonna see if we could, if we could use that insurance. That's what we're paying for. My only concern is having to wait long. Other than that, the truck has been great. What to expect of Volvos, like the common issues. I don't know if this was a problem before I got the truck, but there's a lot of, like, how do you say? There's a lot of suspension issues with the Volvos. I noticed that. I've had to change my cross member already. I've went through tires. I've had the truck for 4 years. I'm 2 months away from paying it off. So pretty much that. I've dealt with a lot of tires, tire changes, and a lot of suspension issues as far as like shocks and stuff like that. I usually change them every 2 years, only because I don't haul heavy loads. And until 2 days ago, I hauled a 40,000 pound load, and they got me. And I only let them get me because I was already, like, it was the last day and I couldn't really negotiate that. I should have tried, but I had said yes to it. I didn't look at the weight. I should have looked at the weight first before I accepted that load. And I wanted to come back to the house anyway because it's cold up here in the north. And then I got another load, 39,000 pounds coming back up. I think that's where the turbos just got shot, because I felt something. I just didn't quite. I didn't think it'd be the turbo, and sure enough, I had an idea that it'd be the turbo because I felt the truck. Every time I go on an uphill, you'll hear the truck, vroom, vroom, vroom. Like you'll hear the truck. You'll hear that turbo click in, and look, that's what it is. So other than that, like I said, if I could do it all over again, I would buy another Volvo. It's just I wouldn't buy a Volvo with 500,000 miles. Anybody thinking about buying a truck with over 500,000 miles and you trying to get into this game, don't start the game like that. You might fail unless you mechanically inclined or you got your routes and your mechanics in order. If you got all of that set, there won't be no hiccups as far as you got your stuff in order. You got your mechanics and you got some bread stash, then go for it. Try to get that NTP insurance, some type of insurance that could cover major components. But don't come in this game getting them used trucks. And this might stir up some controversy. It might not. But I don't trust broke down used trucks like that. A truck with 700,000-800,000 miles, I'm not jumping into that. I'm sorry. It's not worth it. You gonna fail in the game. The best truck to buy with the best mileage is something like 200,000-300,000. I bought this truck, 300,000 miles. It was a 2015. I bought it 2020. They babied this truck, or this truck, they babied it, or they drove the hell out of it. Then they stopped driving it, and it's been good to me. Like I said, very few issues. A lot of things I do myself. Shocks. I did the coolant reservoir. I've done a bunch of hoses. I've done the air dryer twice. That's another common issue. The air dryer. Like I said, suspension. I'm gonna do a video with stuff to look for when buying a truck. I think, hopefully so that'll be useful to you guys. But that was another thing too. Is certain things that somebody will tell you, look for this, look for that. But when you look for it, like those are like stuff that you could see. I'm gonna go through like the real in-depth stuff to look for, and that was one thing that we didn't see. And I had somebody else take a look at the truck with me. I actually had 3 people. One person, let me see. I had somebody take a look at it after I bought it. And it's crazy too. Never buy a truck when it's snowing or in bad weather, because you won't see the leaks. 9 times out of 10 it'll be above, on top of like some wet spots of snow and stuff like that. So you definitely want to consider that weather. And I didn't see the leak, but it was the bolts to the plate to change the clutch that was, they were loose. They didn't tighten them, so it was leaking drops, very little drops. When I took it to Georgia, bought the truck, took it to Georgia, I had my man's take a look at it, and he was like, look, you got a leak. You should have been looking for stuff like this. I'm like, well, there was snow on the ground, and he was like, give me a wrench, and we tightened them, fixed the problem. One thing I didn't see though was the pins to the cross member. That was, this is the pin. Let's say this is the pin, and this is your chassis. The pin was dug into the chassis, so you gotta look for stuff like that. I will show y'all, but it's cold and it's dark. We're gonna do a separate video on that. And that wasn't even that much money. I went to a junkyard and got the cross member, got that done fast. Like I said, I got my mechanics in Atlanta, Georgia. They took care of that for cheap. I think the cross member used was like $250. Don't have an issue anymore. He greased the pins. He thought that he was gonna have to burn the bolts off because they was rusted and they were dirty. He didn't have to. He took them off. So that's another thing too. Make sure that mechanic you're dealing with is honest. You understand? But I've been fortunate. I cannot complain. These trucks are solid. Like you go to the dealer and the dealer tell you anything to keep coming back. But the Volvo dealer I go to, they don't work off commission. They work by the hour, and they tell you. A lot of people that come here, you hear the same thing. That's why a lot of them will be brand new, and they're fairly knowledgeable in the parts that you're looking for. And what truck it's for as well, if it's the certain Volvos. But yeah, she's been good to me. Like I said, I don't think I'll look at another truck. And they say it's expensive, yeah, but certain trucks are, like the Freightliner might have some parts that's more expensive than the Volvo. The Volvo, 90% of the parts are okay, are expensive, but then the Freightliner have 2-3 parts that amount to those 90% parts more expensive. Like I heard you got to change the whole light housing to a Freightliner. You don't have to do that with a Volvo. You change the bulb. So it's little stuff like that. Like I said, just make sure y'all do your research real good. There's no reason why you should be making mistakes in this trucking industry with as much information as there is out now. It's a lot of information out there, and like I said, be smart about buying your truck. Nobody should be getting a 2024 truck with with 500,000 miles. No way. Like, consider that. I don't care what anybody tells you. Unless they're gonna take apart that engine and show you what's inside, make sure there's no corrosion or no gears have grinded in the transmission, stuff like that. That's the only way where I'll say go for it, but no one's gonna do that. You understand what I'm saying? Look at the car, look at the truck facts. Look, do your research, take your time. Don't let nobody pressure you into buying a commitment. Because that's what this is going to be. This is going to be a business, and it's going to be a commitment. It's kind of like a car payment. The only difference is with a car, you could somewhat finagle that to an extent. A truck, you don't, it's too much of a deep investment. You don't want to have to go trade yours in and then get something. I don't know. These truck prices are crazy. I believe they're coming down a little bit, but I still see outrageous prices on trucks. 600,000-700,000 miles, they want $50,000 for. I think that's outrageous. A truck like that should be worth maximum $300,000, unless it's like a Cumming engine or a Volvo D13. But I know a lot of people Well, I don't know a lot of people, but I know a friend that talks to a lot of drivers. He has a lot of drivers. A lot of times he'll have to hang up on me because he got to go talk to one of them. And he says that they drive a Volvo and they've had zero issues and they're past 1,000,000 miles and they have yet to have to rebuild their engine. I haven't done that. And the two people, that guy, that friend of mine has a Freightliner, and my other boy that we constantly be on the phone talking to each other, he has a Freightliner and he just rebuilt his engine last year. Again, this is not, this is from my experience, what I see. Um, Volvo's been good to me. Like I said, I can't complain. I don't, no regrets. Uh, I'm just mad. Of course, I'm not mad, but it's a throw off. No one's gonna. No one's gonna. How do you say? No one's gonna be not surprised when something happens. Especially in your business, you got a flow going. Like, look, just now I dropped off a load and I had a good one going back home. I'm thinking I'm going back home. Then this happens. That's trucking for you. Anything can happen at any given time. So just make sure you make that right decision. I remember we was doing a cabs class, and this dude was praising on how good his brand new truck was, and he only do brand new trucks. Yo, that's cool, bro, but you gotta be realistic. Not everybody can afford a brand new truck. Mind you, this dude was teaming with his wife. Like, of course you can afford that. You've been teaming with your wife for a minute, and he was saying that how he was teaming with his wife for, they had over 10 years or something like that, and it's not their first brand new truck. Of course you're going, um, you're gonna, it's gonna go good for you. You teaming and you buying, you starting off with a brand new truck. You're gonna start getting that bag in the beginning, But I guarantee you that same dude, if he stays with that truck and he stays teaming that truck, teaming is the worst thing you could do with a truck. I'm not with that. We not doing that. We definitely not doing that. I thought about I could do it for like a week, but permanently, nah, hell nah. And when I say a week, I mean something came up, good load, paying real good. Somebody's available to help me out with that. Yo, let's go run that. But we not about to do this every day. Definitely not. And that's why I only got one bunk. This is a Volvo VNL 730. Is like the low boy. This is the one that you would buy if you wanted to do heavy haul. But I love the truck. Comfortable, smooth. The engine is a 13 speed. Definitely love the 13 speed. I didn't know how to drive a 13 speed. I bought this truck without knowing how to drive a 13, and I learned in a day. I didn't learn fully. I learned as I went. The glide switch was a bit confusing, but then we got the hang of it real quick. In like a solid 2 weeks, I already know how to drive this real good. Like, I could drive this with my eyes closed. That's another thing too. Don't be intimidated by the gears. If you know how to drive a 13 speed, you know how to drive a 10, a 15. A 15 is the hardest. I looked at an 18 the other day, and I asked my boy, I said, correct me if I'm wrong, this is how you drive an 18. And I explained to him how to drive it, and he's like, yeah. So the 13 is gonna season you and show you how to, you're gonna have the idea of how to drive every other truck. The 15 is a bit complicated because I forgot how it went, but you start off in fourth and then fifth, split it up, start off in fourth and fifth, and then with the glide switch. It's super confusing. Look, I got lost. I will have to be in one for me to get my wheels turning again on how to drive it. But it's dumb easy. Don't let this intimidate you. Just be real smart about what truck you buy. Doesn't matter what it is. Always buy low mileage trucks. I guess if somebody could show you paperwork on something that was rebuilt, that's okay. But go through it again. check them axles, you know, and changing the the fluids to the axles, to the transmission. All that stuff is easy, you know, and to check it too. You know, you have yourself, I believe it's like a 1/4 inch ratchet, and you just spin that plug off, stick your finger in there. If it come out wet, that means you're good. You know, if you got to stick your finger too deep in there, and you know you touch some oil, you might need some. You know, and check to see, you know, leaks, stuff like that. That's another thing too. I didn't check. What the hell is that? Let me go, y'all. I gotta see what the hell is happening.